Okay, welcome. You're listening because you want to get smart fast about the things that really matter. And today, we're digging into something absolutely fundamental. It's so, woven into our lives, we barely notice its incredible story. We're talking about money.
Absolutely. It's truly one of humanity's most essential inventions, isn't it? A system that basically underpins almost everything in modern life.
Exactly. So, our mission here in this deep dive is to really trace that amazing journey of money from, its earliest forms right up to the digital stuff we see today. And we want to understand not just how it works, the mechanics, but also its huge impact on the world and, importantly, on your own life.
hmm We'll be looking at how money's changed, the really key jobs it does in society, how it shapes our personal finances, even our psychology, and, of course, the massive changes technology is bringing. It's a pretty comprehensive look at something we use every single day.
Okay, so to really get a handle on money today, we need to rewind, like way back, before tapping your card or, checking an app. Imagine you need shoes, right? But all you've got to trade is, I don't know, a big sack of potatoes you grew.
Yeah, that's barter, straight swap. Goods for goods, services for services. But as our sources point out, it hits this snag called the double coincidence of wants.
Right?
You don't just need shoes. You need to find someone who wants your potatoes right now and has the shoes you want and agrees on the trade. It's tricky.
Totally. Sounds like a real headache. So naturally, something else had to emerge. Commodity money.
Exactly. Things with their own built-in value.
Yeah.
Gold, silver, even salt, famously.
Ah, yeah, worth their salt. That makes sense now.
Precisely. These things were useful or desirable in themselves, so they worked better for trade. But still not perfect. Imagine lugging around enough salt to buy a house.
Huh. Yeah, not practical. Which, I guess, leads us to the next step. Coins.
Coins, yes. Standardized weight and value. And then, this is pretty amazing, paper money. The Chinese were already using it back in the 7th century.
7th century. That's incredible. That's a huge leap, right? Trusting that piece of paper actually means something.
It really was. A massive shift towards convenience. Though, of course, it brought in the whole issue of trusting whoever issued the paper. And now, fast forward, and, well, look around. We've got physical cash, sure, coins and notes, but also digital money and bank accounts, phone payments.
And the whole new world of crypto, Bitcoin, things like that. It's quite the evolution from swapping potatoes to potentially purely digital code.
It really shows how we adapt, how we invent systems to make exchange easier as society gets more complex. But it's not just the form of money that matters, is it? It's what it does, the functions it serves.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not passive. It has specific jobs. And our sources lay out what 4 key ones, starting with the big one, a medium of exchange.
Right. Think of it as like the oil in the engine of commerce. Instead of that awkward potato shoe swap, everyone agrees to accept money. It just smooths everything out.
Makes sense. Much simpler.
Historically, adopting a common medium of exchange, that's always been a huge boost for economic growth.
Okay, then there's its job as a store of value. You can save it, unlike, grain that spoils or cattle that might wander off.
It lets you hold on to wealth over time. Plan for the future. It gives you that bit of security. Although it's worth remembering, things like inflation can chip away at that stored value over time, right? Its purchasing power can decrease.
Good point. Okay, function 3, unit of account. This sounds a bit academic, but it's super practical.
It is. It just means we have a common measuring stick for value. Imagine trying to compare the price of a car and a sandwich if one was priced in goats and the other in seashells.
Right. Chaos.
Having dollars or euros or whatever lets us compare apples and oranges, literally and figuratively. Makes economic calculation possible.
Yeah, keeps things understandable.
Yeah.
And the last one, standard of deferred payment.
Basically, loans and credit, buying now, paying later. Mortgages, business loans, student debt, all rely on money fulfilling this role.
Ah, okay. So it underpins borrowing and lending.
The whole credit system, really. It allows for big investments, things that couldn't happen if every payment had to be upfront, immediate. These 4 functions, working together, make money, well, essential to modern economies.
Absolutely. And our sources really drive home how vital money is. It affects everything from our personal spending power, like what you can actually buy, to big picture stuff like economic growth, investment, even social stability.
And it's interesting, isn't it, the role governments and central banks play. Managing the money supply. They're constantly doing this balancing act, trying to control inflation, stop prices rising too fast, but also stimulate the economy when it needs a push. It's delicate.
Like trying to keep the engine revving just right. Not too hot, not too cold,
Exactly. And this isn't just theory. It hits us directly. It influences our standard of living, access to healthcare, education, our overall well-being.
Yeah, the sources make that connection very clear. The macro stuff really impacts the micro, our individual lives.
Which brings us neatly to, well, our own money, personal finance.
Right. Budgeting, saving, maybe investing, trying to stay out of too much debt. This isn't just, boring admin. It's crucial life stuff.
Mm-hmm. Financial literacy, understanding this stuff, is key to reaching goals. Buying a house, starting a business, just feeling secure about retirement.
It really is about getting some control, knowing where your money's going, making smart choices for what you want in life.
But it's not all spreadsheets and logic, is it? Money carries a lot of emotional baggage for people.
Oh, yeah. This is fascinating territory, psychology of money. Our sources talk about how, for so many of us, money represents way more than just purchasing power.
Security, freedom, success, sometimes even self-worth. And where do these feelings come from? Often, as the sources suggest, it's shaped by how we grew up, our family's attitudes, cultural messages about money.
Right. Were you taught to save every penny, or was it more about enjoying the moment? That early stuff sticks with you, creates your kind of money mindset.
And you see these different behaviors, don't you? Some people are just natural savers, always planning. Others are more comfortable spending, maybe more focused on the now.
Yeah, the classic saver versus spender. And neither is necessarily right or wrong, but knowing your own tendency is really important.
Absolutely. Understanding your own patterns, why you handle money the way you do, that can really impact your relationships, your career, your long-term financial health. It's about finding, a balance that works for you.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit. Technology. Because, wow, has that changed things? The digital age of money.
It's transformed how we interact with money, hasn't it? The sheer convenience is huge. Online banking, payment apps, digital wallets. Managing finance is just so much more accessible for many people now.
Totally. And shopping online from anywhere in the world. E-commerce has blown things wide open.
Plus contactless payments. How often do you actually use physical cash these days?
Hardly ever. It does feel like cash might become, a collector's item eventually.
It's certainly trending that way in a lot of places.
Yeah.
But the digital shift isn't just about how we pay. It's also about new types of money or potential money. Cryptocurrencies, blockchain.
Right. Bitcoin, Ethereum. Our sources mention these as decentralized alternatives. What does decentralized really mean in this context?
It means they operate without a central authority, like a traditional bank or government, controlling the network. It's a fundamentally different structure.
Okay. Still pretty volatile, though, right? As the sources point out.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Very volatile.
Okay.
But they've kicked off a huge debate about what the future of finance might look like. And you can't talk tech without mentioning fintech.
Financial technology.
That's really democratizing things. Making services like investing, getting loans, even setting up automatic savings plans much easier to access through apps, lowering barriers.
Like those robo-advisors for investing, maybe. Making it accessible without needing huge sums of money.
Exactly that kind of thing. Using technology to open up financial tools to more people.
But while we're talking about access and technology, our sources also highlight a really important, maybe difficult topic: global inequality.
Yes, the way wealth, money is distributed around the world is incredibly uneven. It's a stark contrast sometimes.
And that inequality, as the sources show, has massive knock-on effects. Access to decent education, healthcare, housing, basic opportunities in life.
It's quite sobering when you think about how much your starting point, the economic situation you're born into, can shape your entire future.
But it's not hopeless, right? The sources talk about efforts to tackle this.
Yes, absolutely. It's a complex, requires action on many fronts. Things like pushing for fair wages, improving financial literacy so people can manage resources better, creating tax systems that are more equitable, and, crucially, expanding access to basic banking and financial services for people who are currently shut out.
And it's not just governments.
No, our sources mention global organizations, NGOs, even community groups, all playing a part in trying to build fairer economic systems. It's a continuous effort.
Requires a real collective will to address these deep-seated issues.
So, wrapping up this deep dive, it's clear money is, well, it's so much more than just coins or numbers on a screen.
Absolutely. It's this incredibly powerful force, shapes our personal lives, shapes the global economy, and whether it ends up being a source of freedom and opportunity or a source of stress and limitation, a lot of that comes down to how well we understand it and how mindfully we manage it.
Precisely. It's a tool. And like any powerful tool, knowing how to use it wisely makes all the difference.
So, maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over. As tech keeps changing the game, as the global economy keeps shifting, how might your own understanding, your own relationship with money need to evolve? What new questions or maybe areas you want to explore has this discussion sparked about your financial path and the bigger economic picture out there? Hopefully, this has given you some good food for thought.